Hi, this is Doug Schneider. Welcome back to Real Hi-Fi. If you watch my video on the mobile fidelity scandal, you will know that analog to digital and digital to analog conversion is so transparent these days that nobody for around 10 years could tell by ear that mobile fidelity was using a digital step in its record production process. Suffice it to say that this fact sent shockwaves through the audiophile world, and it had people questioning vinyl playback, and I'm sure still has them questioning it. But I also couldn't help but wonder if it will now open the eyes of some people to digital and say, maybe I should give a good modern DAC a try. So that's why in this episode, I want to dedicate it to a great DAC that happens to be inexpensive, that is perfect for a budget system, and might be perfect for a system of any price. I'm talking about the iFi Audio Zen One Signature, which costs about $350 in the United States. Now, before I get much further, I'm going to say that Dennis Berger wrote about it earlier this year on SoundStageAccess.com, and James Hale wrote about it earlier this year on SoundStageExperience.com. So for more depth than I'm going to give you, please go to those websites and read their write-ups. Now, the Zen One Signature is really small, but it's super feature-rich in every way. On the back panel are coaxial, toslink, USB, and Bluetooth digital inputs. Here's where the external power supply plugs into. RCA output jacks, as well as a 4.4 millimeter balanced output, which you need an adapter for to plug proper XLR cables into, but that's forgivable given the lack of space on the back panel. On the playback side, it's just as impressive. In terms of lossy file playback, it'll support HD Bluetooth, which is high definition Bluetooth, which isn't really high resolution, but it is higher resolution than what most Bluetooth connections provide. It'll also support MQA decoding up to 384 kilohertz. On the lossless playback side, it'll support PCM up to 384 kilohertz, as well as quad rate DSD, also known as DSD-256, and if that sounds familiar to you, well, that's what mobile fidelity is using in its digital step for record production. It also has other features that I'm not going to get into here. That's what Dennis's and James's write-ups are for, but I will say what it doesn't have. It doesn't have a headphone output, and it doesn't have a volume control, and that's on purpose. iFi Audio designed it as a pure audiophile grade DAC. In terms of its sound, or really lack thereof, my impressions mirror Dennis's and James's. It's clean, 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 transparent, resolving. It doesn't really have a sound of its own. It simply lets the music flow through, and that's really what most people want from a digital component. High transparency. They don't want colorations, but if someone does want a coloration, a warmed up mid-range, rolled off highs or something like that, maybe this DAC isn't for them. But if somebody wants what's on the recording, well, this DAC is ideal. And if somebody wants a component where the sonic impressions are backed up with the measurements, again, it's ideal. Our measurements of the Zen One Signature are exhaustive, and they basically show what we heard. Very flat frequency response, very low distortion, great low-level linearity, meaning those details come through. That's heard and also seen in the measurements. And great jitter rejection, meaning it's not sensitive to the quality of the digital source. And that's important. And that's also why when those measurements reflect the high level of sound quality, I said earlier on, this isn't just a great DAC for the price. It's a great DAC that happens to sell for an inexpensive price. That's because this DAC could sell for much, much more. And that's important because it's not just a DAC for an inexpensive system. It's a DAC that could go in a very expensive system, and the person might never feel the need to replace it for a very long time. As a result, the Zen One Signature isn't something that I would only recommend to a budget-minded enthusiast, but to any audio enthusiast who wants to hear what great modern digital really doesn't sound like. It's simply transparent. It lets your music flow through. That's why James loved it. Dennis not only loved it, he bought one. And that's why I think so highly of it too. This is a great DAC from iFi Audio for a great price. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching.